I recently had a client where she was involved in a case with her ex, and her ex was alleged to have done something inappropriate to her daughter. My client, the mother, had a daughter who had very, very, very severe autism, to the point where she was pretty much non-communicative. She was unable to comprehend nor state much with any type of coherence. There was an allegation filed that the child had said something to a teacher which was misconstrued to be sexual abuse against the ex. So DCF calls my client, and my client is just like off the reservation. First of all, she knew that the ex may be a lot of things, but sexually abusing her daughter was not one. The second thing is that the daughter was of such limited cognitive abilities that she would be unable to say what the teacher was stating, and the mother's guard went up. So she called Attorney Saber and she asked me to represent her when DCF came out. DCF came out to talk to her, and we asked the investigator, who are you investigating? She said, I'm investigating her ex. The allegation was sexual abuse. And so mother was free to speak and talk about what happened. And when all was said and done, DCF supported an allegation of substantiated concern against my client without telling her she was being investigated. Never said she was being investigated. Never gave her a letter or a parent's pamphlet and all the bells and whistles that they should have done to make sure her due process rights were represented. And yet the investigator herself repeatedly stated that the child, due to the child's disability and inability to be able to speak, that the case wouldn't be supported against anyone. And yet turned around after the fact, never told the mother, and supported a substantiated concern against the mother, and unsupported it against the alleged person who had sexually abused the child, which made no sense at all. After the investigation, we got back to reports, and when I read them, I'm like, holy cow. How do you unsupported against the person you're investigating, and then support it against the person you weren't investigating, and didn't tell you were investigating? I chased DCF for quite a while to unsupport the allegation, which was completely bogus and a grievance for substantiated concern. And DCF finally, in their infinite wisdom, much to their credit, reached the right person, and they wrote back to my client telling her how they were unsupporting the allegation of substantiated concern against her. Now my client was thrilled to get such a result, but the moral of the story is that when DCF calls you and they say, well, we're investigating somebody else, get that in writing. Make sure you get a letter from DCF that states somebody else is being investigated, and they want to speak to you. I believe no one should ever speak to DCF because of the enormous power DCF has. If you have children, that they can remove them. You should always be represented by counsel. Have a lawyer come between you and DCF that knows the policies, the protocol, and the procedures of what is or is not going on. You want to make sure that DCF does not break, bend, or violate your important United States constitutional rights. Remember also, the United States Constitution says we the people, not we the adults. Your children have important constitutional rights, and you as a parent must ensure that they are protected. And how you do that is to make sure that you know what's going on. And how do you do that? Get yourself a lawyer that knows the process, procedure, and protocols. That's the moral of today's story.